Hello and welcome back to A Shot of Wildlife. In this video, I'm going to tell you 8 of the most fascinating facts about the common buzzard. If I was to describe a buzzard, I would probably say a large brown bird of prey with cream markings on its underside and underneath its wings. But a lot of the time this wouldn't be correct. Buzzards come in a range of colour morphs, including pale, intermediate and dark, and they're the most diversely coloured bird of prey in Europe. This coloration is genetic, and it turns out that different colours have advantages when it comes to keeping warm, and their colour may also affect their behaviour. Researchers found that darker buzzards are more suited to colder habitats as they warm up quicker, but that they struggle to stay cool in hot weather. They also found that light coloured males and dark coloured females are more aggressive towards other birds of prey, but they don't know why yet. When it comes to aggression, buzzards are highly territorial, and a pair will defend their nesting territory from other buzzards throughout the year. However, they are able to recognise their neighbours, and whilst they won't tolerate them coming too close to the nest site, they are less aggressive towards them than they are to young birds or unknown passers-by. The size of their territory depends on how much food is available, and they are usually 2 to 3 square kilometres. They can nest closer to one another when there's plenty of prey about, and in areas really high in food, sometimes several pairs will gather to feed in close proximity to one another. You might think that a bird of prey would need to have a really good sense of vision to find enough food, and whilst that is true for buzzards, it might not work exactly how you think. Their retinas contain a high density of rod cells, which are brilliant at detecting changes in light, but they are not very good at picking out details. This means that whilst a buzzard can't easily see a vole or other small mammal if it stays perfectly still, the second it moves, the buzzard will be able to pinpoint it. When it comes to nesting, buzzards create large twig platform nests lined inside with delicate vegetation. These can be more than a metre across, and where exactly they nest has been found to be influenced by current and historical human activity. In places where there are lots of people, near walking trails, roads or farms for example, buzzards usually build their nests higher in trees or deeper into woodlands. In places where buzzards have been heavily persecuted in the past, they exhibit this same cautious nesting behaviour. This continues for many generations after the persecution has stopped, suggesting that the caution is learned from their parents or culturally inherited. A lot of birds of prey will start breeding at either 1 or 2 years old, but buzzards often don't start until they are 3 or 4, or even older than that. This isn't because they aren't capable of breeding. They reach sexual maturity in their 2nd year, but it's more down to the quality of territory that they can hold. Their breeding success is reliant on the amount of prey in their territory, so if they aren't able to compete for a good one, they'll hold off from attempting to breed until they can. Even once they have started breeding, this prey abundance is important. If there isn't much prey about, they'll lay fewer eggs on average, and in really bad years, they'll sometimes forego nesting completely. In the last few years, buzzards have taken over from kestrels as the most common bird of prey in the UK. There are now around 300,000 of them here. But just 100 years ago, it was a completely different picture. Following sustained hunting and nest destruction, mostly by gamekeepers and landowners who believed that buzzards posed a threat to their birds and livestock, their numbers hit an all-time low around 1920. Some records suggest that there may have been less than 10 breeding pairs in the whole country. Their numbers gradually climbed until the 1950s, when myxomatosis wiped out a lot of rabbits, taking away one of their main sources of food. This was compounded with the use of organochlorine pesticides such as DDT, which accumulated in birds of prey and made their eggs have thin shells and failed to hatch. However, after these pesticides were banned and buzzards switched to other prey items, their numbers started to climb from the beginning of the 1970s, and they've continued to become more common and widespread ever since. Whilst DDT and other organochlorine pesticides were banned in the UK a long time ago, it seems that we haven't completely learned our lesson. In 2016, brodifacoum, a pesticide specifically targeting rats and mice, was approved for outside use in the UK. Since then, there have been a growing number of buzzards who've been poisoned by the pesticide, not from directly eating it, but from eating rodents that have done so. In fact, between 2020 and 2022, more than 90% of dead buzzards who were tested had brodifacoum within their livers, and more than 20% had lethal levels. The issue with this pesticide in particular is that it degrades really slowly and can stay in small levels within prey species for more than 300 days. This means that every time a buzzard eats a mouse or rat that has eaten some of the poison, it accumulates a little bit more in its own liver, until it reaches deadly levels. In the UK, buzzards are typically resident all year round and don't migrate away for the winter, but this is not the case on the continent. In Scandinavia, Russia and Northern Europe, they usually head south to avoid the worst of the cold weather, sometimes travelling as far as Africa. However, as the climate is warming, they are altering their behaviour to match. Some northern buzzards are reducing the distance that they migrate, some are leaving later and returning earlier, and others have stopped migrating completely. If the average temperatures continue to rise, it's possible that this will continue as well, and that buzzards will become resident all year round, all across Europe. And that's all 8 of them. If you enjoyed this video, then check out this one on the screen for more UK wildlife. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.